sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive. We're going to be tackling something pretty interesting today. Trevor Noah's 5th year hosting the Grammys.
5th year.
5 years in a row. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy for an award show like this, right?
That's wild.
Yeah, and we've got this great CBS News article that's going to help us unpack all this.
Okay.
So let's try and figure out just what makes this guy such a successful host and, maybe why the Grammys just keep asking him back.
Well, it is pretty unusual for the Grammys to stick with the same host for so long. I mean, they usually like to, bring in some fresh faces each year.
Yeah.
Try to keep things exciting,
Okay.
Keep it in line with like the music world,
Yeah, that's a good point. But then doesn't that make this whole thing even more interesting? You know? Like Noah's bucking the trend here. And think about this year, especially, with the LA wildfires. The Grammys had a bit of a more serious tone.
Right.
But they still went with Noah.
Absolutely. And I think that really shows us how much the Grammys trust Noah's versatility. He can definitely handle those lighthearted moments, but he's shown that he can also, navigate those more sensitive topics with sincerity and with grace.
So it's not just about, cracking jokes up there.
Oh, definitely not. No. If you think back to his opening monologue at the 2023 Grammys, he addressed the war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And he was weaving in these really poignant reflections about how powerful music is to unite and uplift us during times of crisis.
Yeah.
He was able to acknowledge how serious the situation was, but at the same time, he was celebrating, the resilience of humanity.
Yeah. Wow. I remember that monologue. It really stuck with me. So it's almost like he's bringing that Daily Show experience to the Grammys stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's really mastered the ability to blend humor and insightful commentary.
Yeah.
And it really works beautifully for an award show like the Grammys. He connects with the audience on all these different levels, making them laugh one minute and then making them think the next.
Okay, so that's like one piece of the puzzle here. But I'm curious about his comedic style. The article mentions observational humor, but I'm not totally sure I understand what that means, like in the context of hosting the Grammys.
Right. Well, observational humor is really about taking inspiration from everyday life,
Yeah.
like finding those funny moments in the mundane or, even the unexpected. And at the Grammys, it means being able to react in those unscripted moments, comment on maybe the artist's little quirks, even poke a little fun at the whole award show thing itself.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together. He's using his comedy to make the Grammys feel relatable, more human. It's not just this like stuffy formal event.
Yeah, exactly. He brings spontaneity and authenticity to the stage.
Yeah.
And that's really important when you think about who he's talking to, like this star-studded audience.
You're right. The article mentioned Beyoncé's record-breaking 11 nominations and her historic Album of the Year win this year. I mean, talk about a high-pressure moment.
Right. I mean, how do you, as the host, handle something that big?
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge the achievement, but you still want to keep the focus on the artist, And I think Noah's quick wit and that observational humor would work really well in that moment.
Yeah.
Imagine him riffing on Beyoncé's journey, her impact on music, even maybe playfully referencing how long it took for her to win that award,
Yeah.
but keeping the energy light and celebratory.
Okay, now that's an example I can really understand. It's not just about being funny just to be funny.
Yeah.
It's about using that humor to like enhance the experience, make those big moments even more memorable.
Yes, exactly. And you got to remember, this is live TV.
Yeah.
So things don't always go as planned.
Oh, yeah.
So you need a host who can think on their feet.
Yeah.
And maybe even turn a disaster into a hilarious anecdote.
I'm convinced his comedic background is definitely a good thing in this setting. But the article also talks about Noah's personal journey, like growing up in South Africa during apartheid, his rise to fame on The Daily Show, even being recognized by Time magazine. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's another piece of the puzzle.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. The Grammys try to celebrate music from everywhere, representing different voices and genres, Noah's multicultural background, and his experience navigating different cultures that likely shapes how he hosts.
Yeah.
It allows him to connect with this huge range of artists and their stories.
Okay, so it's not just his comedy or his ability to handle serious topics. It's his unique perspective, too. It's being able to bridge those cultural gaps and make the Grammys feel truly inclusive.
Right.
That's pretty impressive. And his resume is pretty impressive, too.
Oh, yeah.
The article mentioned his voice role in those Black Panther movies.
Awesome.
Yeah, and his earlier stand-up career in South Africa.
Yeah, and I think all those experiences make him even more interesting as a host.
Yeah.
He's not just a comedian. He's a storyteller, an actor. He's a performer who's comfortable in front of a camera and engaging with a big audience. It all adds to his charisma.
Okay, I'm definitely getting the sense that there's a lot more to uncover here. It's not just about being funny, it's about being insightful.
Right.
And being able to connect with a really diverse audience and having the experience to handle those big live TV moments. It sounds like a pretty tough job.
It is, and that's why I think it's amazing that Noah's been able to do it so well for 5 years in a row.
Okay, well, that's a great place to wrap up part 1 of our deep dives.
Yeah.
We've learned some key insights into Noah's unique hosting style, but I think we're just getting started.
Oh, yeah.
So stick with us for part 2, where we're going to dive even deeper into what makes Trevor Noah such a compelling Grammys host.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Trevor Noah's amazing 5-year run as Grammys host.
Yeah, in part 1, we talked about all the unique skills and experience he brings, but I think there's still so much more to, uncover,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just what he brings, it's how he does it up there on that stage. I mean,
Yeah.
hosting the Grammys is no easy feat.
Right.
It's live TV with millions of people watching, and that pressure must be immense. So how do you think he manages to stay so composed and engaging with all that going on?
Yeah, you're right about that. Composure under pressure, that's got to be a must-have for any Grammys host. Especially for someone like Noah, who's known for that improvisational style.
Right.
Remember the 2024 Grammys when the teleprompter messed up?
Oh, yeah.
And there was that awkward silence for a second.
Oh, yeah. I thought for sure that was going to, derail the whole show.
Me too.
Most hosts would have totally panicked, but Noah, he turned it into a whole comedic bit.
Yeah.
Riffing on the technical difficulties with his, his classic self-deprecating humor.
Yeah, and the audience loved it.
Oh, they ate it up. And the show just went on without a hitch.
That's what's so great about him. He can just roll with the punches, you know? Find the human in those unexpected situations and make the audience feel like they're part of the joke.
Yeah.
It creates this sense of intimacy and connection, even in this massive venue like the Grammys.
Exactly. It feels so genuine,
Yeah.
Not forced at all. But it's not just handling the unexpected, it's also keeping that energy up and the audience engaged through the whole show.
Yeah, because let's be real, the Grammys are a long show.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the awards, the performances, the tributes. It's easy for the energy to dip at times.
Yeah.
How does Noah prevent that?
Well, I think his comedic timing is a big part of it.
Yeah.
He just knows when to throw in some humor, when to step back and let the music be the focus.
Yeah.
And when to offer a comment that resonates with the audience. It's like this delicate dance.
Speaking of the music, I'm curious about how he actually interacts with those performances.
Yeah.
Does he just introduce the act and move on, or is there more to it than that?
I'd say there's definitely more to it than that.
Yeah.
A good Grammys host doesn't just present the performance, they frame it.
Okay.
They offer context.
Yeah.
They build anticipation. And sometimes they even add a layer of interpretation to it.
So it's about enhancing the experience for the viewers, giving them something extra to consider beyond the music.
It's exactly. Remember Kendrick Lamar's performance at the 2022 Grammys?
Yeah.
It was this really powerful, politically charged piece that addressed, racial injustice and police brutality.
He's very powerful.
It was. And before introducing Lamar, Noah took a moment to acknowledge the weight of what he was about to do and the importance of using music to, spark these conversations about difficult topics.
Yeah.
It added this whole other layer of meaning to the performance.
Right. So it became more than just entertainment.
Exactly.
That's such a perfect example of how he uses his platform to amplify these really important messages without taking away from the artists themselves. It's like he's this master conductor guiding the audience through the emotions of the show.
That is a great analogy. And it's not always about the serious stuff either. It can be playful and lighthearted.
Yeah.
Even a little mischievous sometimes.
Yeah.
Remember when he teased Harry Styles about his fashion choices after that one performance?
Oh, yeah, that was so funny. And
Yeah.
Styles just took it in stride.
Exactly. It was all in good fun.
Yeah.
And it just added a bit of levity to the show. Yeah.
But there's something else about Noah's hosting that I found really interesting.
What's that?
His ability to connect with the artists on a personal level.
Now that you mention it, yeah, he does seem to have this genuine rapport with the musicians. It's not just like host and performer, it feels more like a conversation between friends.
Exactly. And I think that goes back to his ability to listen and observe. We were talking about his observational humor earlier.
Right.
That same skill set applies to how he interacts with people. He can pick up on cues, understand their personalities and find that common ground.
So it's not just about making jokes at their expense.
No.
It's about finding those moments of genuine connection.
Exactly. And I think that really makes a difference in how the artists see him and how they perform on stage.
Yeah.
They feel respected and supported, and that allows them to really shine.
Okay, so we've got composure under pressure, comedic timing, a knack for enhancing the music, and an ability to connect with the artists. Is there anything we're missing? Well, there's one more thing that I think is really important to Noah's success as a Grammys host.
Okay.
His ability to keep things fresh year after year. It's easy to fall into a rut, especially when you're hosting the same show for 5 years in a row. But Noah always seems to find new ways to surprise the audience.
That's true.
How does he do that? Does he just write new jokes?
It's more than just new jokes. It's about evolving as a performer, drawing inspiration from new experiences and reflecting the changes in music and culture. Think about how much the world has changed in just the last 5 years.
Right.
Noah's hosting has changed right along with those changes.
Yeah.
Incorporating new trends, new voices, and new perspectives into the Grammys.
So it's not just about keeping up with the times.
Yeah.
It's about shaping the conversation.
Yeah.
Pushing the boundaries of what a Grammys host can be.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's what makes him so interesting to watch. He's not afraid to take risks, to challenge the status quo, and to make us laugh and think at the same time.
Okay, I am officially in awe of Trevor Noah's hosting abilities.
Yeah. But you know what? This whole conversation has made me think of a new question.
Oh.
It's not just about Noah anymore. It's about the Grammys themselves.
Okay, I'm listening.
Well, we've talked about how Noah's unique approach has changed the Grammys experience. But could it be that the Grammys have also changed Noah as a host? Could it be a two-way street?
Now, that is a fascinating question. And I think that's one we'll need to explore further in part 3 of our deep dive.
All right, deep divers, stick with us as we look into this interesting interplay between Trevor Noah and the Grammys and maybe even uncover some insights into the future of awards shows as a whole. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're wrapping up our deep dive on Trevor Noah and his incredible 5 years as Grammys host. And before the break, we were talking about this dynamic between Noah and the Grammys themselves.
Right, yeah. It's interesting to think about how they might have influenced each other. On the one hand, Noah's approach, so fresh and insightful, it's definitely breathed new life into the show.
Yeah, he's brought this new energy, and it feels more relevant now. It definitely appeals to a wider audience, especially, I think, those younger viewers who maybe weren't watching those more traditional award shows.
Right, exactly. And that's so important for the Grammys because, let's be honest, they've had some challenges lately with, the viewership going down and people criticizing them for not really keeping up with the changing music scene.
Yeah. So are you saying that by choosing Noah, the Grammys were trying to modernize, diversify their image a little?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that picking Noah was a strategic move. His background, his comedy, his ability to, blend humor with social commentary, all of that really fits with what the Grammys want to be seen as, more inclusive, more in touch with what's happening today.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about the other side of that? How have the Grammys as a platform influenced Noah's growth as a host?
Well, think about it. The Grammys are huge.
Yeah.
They're global. Millions of people watch them all over the world. That kind of exposure can really change an artist, even someone as successful as Noah.
So you're saying the Grammys gave him the chance to, really hone his skills on a massive stage experiment with new stuff, connect with a bigger audience than he ever could before.
Absolutely. And don't forget the challenge of hosting a live show like that with all the unexpected stuff that can happen and the potential for things to go wrong.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of, quick thinking and improv skills that you can only really develop with experience.
So in a way, the Grammys have been like a training ground for Noah, pushing him to get even better at hosting and become more comfortable being in the spotlight.
Exactly. And I think we've seen him grow over these last 5 years as host. He's more confident now, more nuanced in how he delivers his lines, and just better at handling those unexpected moments with grace and humor.
It's almost like a symbiotic relationship, They both benefited from working together, pushing each other to, evolve and reach new heights.
I agree completely. It just shows you the power of collaborating and how important it is to find the right match between the performer and the platform.
It also makes me wonder, though, where do they go from here? Will Noah keep hosting, or is it time for them both to move on to something new?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess only time will tell.
Okay.
But it's safe to say that this partnership has changed both Noah and the Grammys forever.
And maybe it's even paved the way for a whole new way of hosting these awards shows,
Yeah.
One that embraces diversity and authenticity and a willingness to engage with the world and all its, complexity.
That's a great point. It's exciting to think about how Noah and other hosts who follow his lead will shape these cultural events in the future.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Trevor Noah's 5 years as the Grammys host. We talk about his humor, his insight, his cultural awareness, explored his connection with the Grammys, and thought about the future of award shows in a world that's constantly changing. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.